You've gone from the beach bum to overtime to the silver sniper. You wrestled Freddie with Brody as the referee.
Best way to go about ending that story was to leave me and Brody as the final two. I thought you just went to a school and you became a WWE superstar. It was my way of keeping the, I guess, goofy character aspect of myself that I was in the Beach Bums and finding a way to continue doing that while doing something that was a little bit more me and a little bit more like personal to me.
Yeah.
Before I even got hurt, before I even got injured, me and Doug had just started teaming over at Chaotic Wrestling. Doug now gets to be a part of big business. The perfect opportunity for now the entire world to see me and Doug as a tag team. A couple years alone, like I had mentioned, Brad Hollister, getting a chance to learn from him, somebody who's been in the business for 15 plus years. I was just a kid from Chicago who just wanted to be a wrestler. Say that for the first time in my career. That like no matter where you're seeing me, you're 100% getting me.
Welcome one and welcome all. Hosted by none other than Coach C. Chris Sanders, you're tuning into the Character to Canvas podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Character to Canvas podcast, episode 7. Now, full transparency, I would have never expected my guest. I mean, this guy is a reason I'm in indie wrestling. And I just came across this on 8-5. I remember drawing this guy a picture I just found. So, TJ Crawford, thank you for joining me, and thank you legit for everything.
No, dude, thank you for having me. And I'm very, very excited that I get to be just a small part of the journey that you're going to have in professional wrestling. And it's been a good one so far. And I'm very, very excited to see where your career takes you.
Now, you're one of the first guys I've ever seen in indie wrestling. So for you, how did your journey start?
So it's like the quick rundown of it without getting like real boring with it, with the details. So I didn't know anything about independent wrestling when I got into it. So I didn't know about the Ring of Honors, about the JAPWs, about the PWGs, anything like that. When I was growing up watching wrestling, so getting involved in the wrestling business was kind of like I thought you just went to a school and you became a WWE superstar. Like I was just convinced that's how it happened. So no, I did my research while I was in college at Illinois State, and I found a couple of schools, and I decided on the Creative Pro New Jersey school, Russell Pro, learning under Pat Buck, Dan Moff, and Mario Baccara. I didn't know anything about independent wrestling, like I said, until I got into it. And once I got a chance to learn about everything, and once I got a chance to be around some of the guys who kind of conquered the independents a little bit, I have so much more respect for the independents and so much more respect for the people that come through it and the journey that people have to take to get to where they want to get to.
So for you, like your hands down, I've seen the transformation of TJ Crawford. I've seen so many different versions. Where does like a lot of your inspiration comes from?
Oh man, I mean, when it comes to like people that I watched growing up, people that kind of influenced me when I was watching wrestling growing up, like guys like Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, Edge were people who I kind of watched growing up. And I guess even now when I'm like kind of getting into wrestling, I kind of I definitely look at those guys and the work that they have done and the work that some of them are still doing as inspiration, as kind of like stuff that I look at and how I can use what they're doing to up my game and try to get to the levels that they've got to.
And then one of the things that I mentioned to start off, you started off, I don't know if it's a proud moment of your career or not. That's something I remember, the beach bum. So how did that happen? And like, what was your take on it?
Oh man, I'm so proud of the time that I spent doing the beach drum stuff, man. Like uh everybody has a different journey in the wrestling business, and that was fortunate. I was very fortunate enough that was my start in the wrestling business. Uh so yeah, I mean the real life story of the beach bums is myself, Brody, and Freddie were all trainees at the Wrestle Pro School in New Jersey. We all kind of looked at each other and decided that we're getting to the point where we feel like we can start being on shows, we can start performing, and we can start holding our own when it comes to having matches. Um, Luckily for us, Wrestle Pro was starting a trios division at the time, um, so we kind of took that as our opportunity to throw an idea together. The three of us spent, I want to say, like 2 days, maybe 3 days, just going back and forth in a group chat, just throwing out names, throwing out ideas, throwing out any kind of wacky suggestions and wacky things we can think of. And it just so happened that we landed on the Beach Bums, and that's kind of how it started. I'll definitely say that I can give credit to the name and the whole character idea to Freddie, because that was definitely his it was the Beach Bum that character was definitely more Freddie than it was anybody else. He lived. I wouldn't say he lived, but he spent a lot of his time growing up down at the beach in Jersey, down in Long Beach Island, places like that. So he had a beach house. Like we all went to his beach house at that time to like film stuff. So yeah, the Beach Bum thing was definitely like more Freddie than it was me and Brody. But we definitely embraced it, I think, and it was so much fun, and I miss those guys so much.
So when you said you threw around ideas, was there any like close contenders that you remember doing that wasn't the Beach Bums?
Oh man, nothing that I can think of right now, but I can like first like just like we were coming up with some like everything. I mean, we were gonna be cowboys. We were like maybe we'll be motorcycle gang. Maybe we'll be like like baseball player. I don't. We were literally every idea you can think of. It was probably said in that group chat in those 3 days. So yeah, I'm done. But I'm definitely happy that we landed on the one we did.
It's crazy. Like I'm looking at this drawing and like I remember like what is it like 7 years ago? I would just sit here like at 5:30 every day watching you guys on YouTube. So you guys were like a huge part of like my childhood almost.
That's so crazy. That's crazy for me to think about. that I've been in the wrestling business long enough for somebody to have grown up watching my progression in the wrestling business. That's so wild to me.
So for you, like I'm a commentator, so I don't really get to see it. But like, what's like? Do you have any pre-match rituals or like routines or way you get fired up for matches or anything like that?
I mean, nothing like out of the ordinary. Nothing crazy. I guess my routines more or less come the day before. I guess in the days prior to the shows. I don't do it as much as I used to, and it's definitely something I'm going to try to get back to doing. But I used to go to the movies every single night before a show. So if I knew I had a whole weekend coming up on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type thing, I would go to the movies on a Thursday night and just watch a movie. Whether it really didn't matter what I was seeing most of the time. I kind of would just go see anything, and I think for me it was just kind of the alone time of having like just being in a movie theater, dark, you got a movie playing, you just kind of be alone with yourself. And I think that kind of just put me in like a calm state and just kind of get me relaxed and ready for the weekend to go. But I don't really, like I said, I don't do it as much as I used to anymore. But it's definitely something I want to get back to doing.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but like, yeah, it makes sense. Like really focusing. But to go with that, one of the things I want to ask you, the way I started doing this was I just finished my first year at college and I took a performing arts class. And one of the things we learned about that I try to relate with wrestling a lot is improv. So you've been wrestling for a while. Has there ever been like maybe a match where you got hurt or like an idea you had or something where like maybe you were proud of, but the crowd wasn't behind, or vice versa, you were shocked the crowd reacted to that, like something like improv played a big factor in?
I mean, there's definitely been moments in my career where I've pieced together matches, or I've put together a performance, or I've gone out there and I've given a performance that the crowd just didn't like or didn't respond positively to. And when I say positively, I don't care if people boo or cheer, but it's when you go out there and you kind of just get silence. I think that's I've definitely had moments like that in my career where it's just kind of been like, nope, nothing from the second you walked through the curtain until you walked back through the curtain, like nothing hit, nothing clicked. And I think stuff like that, I guess maybe about now being later in my career, I guess wouldn't say it doesn't happen as often, because there are going to be times where it does happen. But I think I'm a little bit more I like to think I'm a little more experienced now and a little bit more confident in my abilities to be able to, like you said, like kind of improvise on the fly. And if something that I've put together in my head prior isn't going well, and the crowd's not reacting to it, if the crowd's not really feeling it, you do have to improvise and change it up when you're in the ring or when you're just kind of going on the fly. So I think that's a skill that comes with being in the business.
Yeah.
And kind of just learning the cues and what fans like and don't like.
So to go with something we talked about earlier, you had the beach bums, but it had its fun, and then it's time to switch to go overtime, I think it was. What was the thought process behind that? Where you, I assume, played basketball?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I played basketball my entire life.
Yep.
So when even when I got into the wrestling business, like how I say go to the movies before show,
Mhm.
one of the things I would do to also keep me calm was I would go to the courts and just kind of shoot around and play basketball. Uh so when the beach rooms were coming to an end and I was kind of looking at what I was going to do just kind of on my own,
Mhm.
the the idea for overtime for the whole basketball thing just kind of, I think it was my way of keeping the, I guess, goofy character aspect of
Mhm.
myself that I was in the beach bums, and finding a way to continue doing that while doing something that was a little bit more me and a little bit more like personal to me.
Yeah.
uh but I think, as a lot of people can probably tell you, it wasn't something that worked.
Mhm.
It was definitely wasn't something that clicked. It wasn't something that got people to view me as anything more than just kind of like a comedy wrestler.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm not saying that there's anything bad with being being a
Yeah.
comedy wrestler, but that just definitely wasn't, the vibe. That wasn't the demeanor. That wasn't the persona I wanted to give off. And I just kind of didn't know anything else at that time. I didn't really know how to express myself in any other way than just kind of being goofy, because I kind of just did it for 3 years without even a thought.
So with overtime, I had no clue it existed. I was doing my research earlier. You wrestled Freddie with Brody as the referee. What was like that
Yes, I
match?
did.
Was that like Brody's like last thing he did with wrestling?
Yeah, that was Brody's last hurrah in the wrestling business. So that one came after we had done the turn
Hmm.
at Pro Wrestling Explosion, and we had just lost a 2-year undefeated streak, and I turned on Freddie and Brody, and the next show we had, the like you said, you saw the match. Me and
Hmm.
Freddie had the one-on-one match with Brody as a special guest referee. And again, I kind of behind the scenes it a little bit. You know, Brody, we knew that was going to be Brody's last uh, thing in the wrestling business, and when we were trying to figure out the best way to go about telling the story of it, and the best way to kind of put the cap on top of it, and just kind of like what was the best way to add closure to the Beach Bums story. And if I'm not sure if you actually if you went and watched it, but we thought the best way was for Brody to turn on Freddie and to
Yep.
kind of give me the win. And that all comes with reason. Like
Hmm.
me and Brody started together, and when I say started together, I mean like we started a day apart from each other. It
Wow.
was like I joined for one day, he joined the next day. And I love Freddie. He joined 3 months after us.
Hmm.
Uh, so we thought the best way to go about ending that story was to leave me and Brody as the final two, kind of standing tall at the end of that. And that was special for me, because he was the first friend I ever really had in wrestling, and to see him kind of have his last I wouldn't want to say match, because he didn't have the match, but his last thing in wrestling, and to be able to have that moment with him was incredibly special. And I'm like I said, I miss Freddie and Brody so much. So
Yeah.
I hope they're doing well. I don't get a chance to talk to them as much as I used to.
So to go with that, all these years later now, like you're in, well, technically it's one, but kind of two. You started new groups with the Love Connection and big business. So what is your process behind that? Because I feel like some groups don't last in wrestling, and it's crazy to see like how far both groups have made it.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about it. Especially something like the Love Connection, which was kind of like thrown together super like last minute with us at Live Pro. But I'm sure, as you know, and as a lot of people know, that all stemmed from me and Doug being a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even got hurt, before I even got injured, me and Doug had just started teaming over at Chaotic Wrestling, and it was after a few months we were doing it, we kind of decided like, maybe we should, do this out at other places. Maybe we should do this at other promotions. Maybe we should do this, kind of all the time. Like we kind of
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with it. And then I got hurt, obviously, and then coming back, we got a chance to team up again, and then it kind of just faded away.
Yeah.
Like we would team here and there, and then we got a chance to start teaming up at Live Pro a little bit more. But we just never like got a chance to showcase ourselves as like an actual tag team
Mm-hmm.
to like to the world. Kind of like we had a few opportunities, but I feel like we didn't really showcase what we can do.
Yeah.
Stuff we were doing, because if people go back and watch our Chaotic work, man, like to me those are some of the best tag matches that were going on that year. We were
Oh
having
yeah.
such great, I thought we were great matches. So the fact that Doug now gets to be a part of big business
Mm-hmm.
is the perfect opportunity for now the entire world to see me and Doug as a tag team, in a different aspect than you would have normally seen us. And like I said, for having him join big business, where I get to team up with not only Brad Hollister, who's been an incredible kind of mentor in the wrestling business for me in the last couple of years, but I get to team with Brick City, who are two of my absolute best friends in the entire world, let alone
Mm-hmm.
wrestling. And now I get to bring Doug into that, and now we get to showcase all five of us. And I'm so excited for the work that the five of us are going to do, and I'm so excited for everybody to see me and Doug as a tag team, hopefully across the whole world, man, because we're ready.
Yeah.
We're looking to take over. And
Nice.
as far as longevity, when it comes to the groups, there's one common denominator in all the groups, and it's me.
Yeah.
So if you
Wow.
want your group to last
Yeah.
long, like you got to put me in it.
Yeah. So you've been wrestling for a while. Are there people or a few names that like you feel you've learned a lot from?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in my 8 years, I've got a chance to do a few seminars, to train with a few
Mhm.
people, with some great names. I like just the last couple of years alone, like I had mentioned, Brad Hollister, getting a
Mhm.
chance to learn from him, somebody who's been in the business for 15 plus years, wrestled some of the biggest names in the wrestling industry: Cody Rhodes, Jack Swagger, Matt Riddle, guys like that. Like he's wrestled some of the biggest names you could think of. Um, so getting a chance to learn from him every single Thursday night has been incredible. Um, Getting a chance to learn from Pat Buck, obviously my head trainer, the guy I was trained by, who has done so much in the wrestling business that I think goes so unnoticed, that so many people don't even realize that a lot of the stuff that you see on television, a lot of the stuff that you're enjoying, uh, about the current wrestling product, Pat Buck has had a crazy hand in most of it. And that's just not only with talent, but when it comes to producing matches, when it comes to putting segments together on television, he's doing some of the best work that you can think of. So getting a chance to learn from him and pick his brain when I was training with him, uh, was absolutely incredible. Getting to learn from Mario Baccara and Dan Moff just about how to be intense, how to bring a different side of yourself to the ring, how to bring that mean, aggressive, angry side of yourself to the ring. Anthony Bowens,
Yeah.
I got a chance to me and him are so close, and to get a chance to learn from him, not only just about wrestling, but just kind of about life,
Hmm.
and just kind of how to navigate through regular life and wrestling life, and how to kind of weave it all together, and how to make everything work. And even when I learned so much, I go over to the Beyond Wrestling Institute, every once in a while, every week, and even just getting a chance to learn from Thomas Santel, getting a chance to train with some of the students. I learned so much just training with the students. Because they're so new in the wrestling industry, but they might have something that clicks with them that might click with me. They might have a thought or idea that I might think is pretty cool, or I might think is pretty helpful or useful. So no, I got a chance to learn from so many great people, and I'm still excited to learn from even more.
So one of the questions, you were from Chicago, right?
Yeah, so I'll give everybody the timeline here. Born in New Jersey, moved to Chicago, lived there for 10 years, and then moved back to New Jersey once I started wrestling.
So did you see wrestling in Chicago or no?
Just WWE. Or WWE and TNA, but I never, like I said, I didn't know about independent wrestling and all like that, so I never went to any independent wrestling shows in my area. I used to play basketball at Chicago Ridge and Oakland Pavilion and places like that. And Ring of Honor used to run there all the time.
Wow.
And like I can remember like leaving basketball tournaments and seeing Ring of Honor posters and just not really thinking anything of it, not thinking like that this is a wrestling show that was going to be there. Like, just like, oh, it's just they have some WWE guys coming to do a signing. Like, I'll just go to the WWE show when they're here. I won't worry about going to this. But little do I know, I could have been going to see AJ Styles and Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels and all those guys. So yeah, I ever went to the WWE and TNA when Bound for Glory 8 or Bound for Glory 2008 was in Chicago. So I got a chance to go to that, which was cool.
So being that you did everything with Creative Pro New Jersey and then everything you're doing now in the Northeast, like what do you think is something that stands out from like New Jersey wrestling compared to like where we are now or vice versa?
It stands out.
Something you love about it, something like that.
I guess there's one thing I will say this. The thing I love about the New Jersey wrestling scene is the fact that that's where I got my start. So just anytime I do get a chance to go back down there, back down to Jersey, I am at least in a locker room with people that I probably know every single person in. So it's always cool to get a chance to go back and see a lot of guys that I trained with, or a lot of guys that I came up with, or a lot of guys that I kind of like crossed paths with across the way just when I'm back down there. And I'm not saying like, oh man, like I'm traveling so much that I never get to see all my old indie wrestling friends anymore. But like there are definitely some people that I don't see as often as I used to, like guys that I would train with every single week and be on every single show with. I don't see, for a year or two at a time now. So that's what I love about going back down and wrestling in Jersey, is just getting a chance to see everybody. And the thing I love about being up here is the opportunity that I think being up in the New England area brings you. I think there's so many great promotions up this way that in my opinion, it's like it's the only spot that has so many top tier promotions all in one, in like within just a few hundred miles of each other. You got Limitless up in Maine, you got Beyond and Wrestling Open in Worcester, you got I know it's not technically New England, but like Long Island, New York, Creative Pros right down the road. Places, and a lot of the guys that you're seeing, Chaotic Wrestling, where we took tag champs, man. Like all the guys you're seeing on TV, a lot of them came from the New England wrestling scene, the Northeast wrestling scene. So like to me, this has been and always will be the hottest place for independent wrestling, and where the biggest stars are going to come out of.
So to go back to what I said, like, to me, you've always been one of the most creative people I've saw in wrestling. So you've gone from the beach bum to overtime to the silver sniper to sort of the matchmaker. So like, when is it that time like you decide like, hey, like maybe it's time to like change things up?
I think that comes with gauging the audience, gauging what they like. It's the beautiful thing about independent wrestling is that you kind of have a clean slate every single time you go to the ring. There's a new person in the audience pretty much every single time you go to the ring. There's new fans, it's constantly like there's almost no constant in independent wrestling. Everything's constantly just moving and changing and evolving. Fans are in and out, new fans are coming in, old fans are leaving. So I think that's the beauty of independent wrestling, is that you kind of have the freedom to just kind of like bounce around from nickname to gimmick to character. But it also, like how you kind of mentioned, like I've been saddled with having a few, and when it comes to I think every like at least where I would look at, like every 6 months, kind of like reassess everything, figure out if something needs to change, if you need to, come up with a new nickname, come up with a new name, come up with a new something, new color scheme, new gear, new complete look, new everything. So I think it just kind of comes with gauging the audience and just kind of like seeing where you're at in your career, and then deciding if it's good, if it's not good, if it's like, okay, if I need to make one little tweak to what I'm doing right now, and then it'll work, or no, it's not working at all, and it's time to just throw it completely out the window and just come up with something completely different. So, I mean, at least what you've seen from me in the last few years, at least ever since I've been back from injury, has all been the same person, whether it's like the Silver Sniper, the Matchmaker, just whatever, the Big Bread, whichever nickname you want to give. It's like, it's all at the core of it. It's all the same person. And I can confidently say that for the first time in my career, that like, no matter where you're seeing me, you're 100% getting me. And like, just because I act goofy at one place doesn't mean that I still don't have that serious side in me. Or just because I'm being serious at another place doesn't mean I don't have that goofy side in me there. And it might pop out there while I'm being real serious, and the serious might pop out while I'm being real goofy. So, the Silver Sniper, the Matchmaker, the Big Bread. Yeah. At the core of it, it's just me. It's just TJ Crawford.
So you've been wrestling for a while, and you've done a lot of singles, but you've also done tag. Is there somewhere where you feel you might like really do thrive at, or you prefer tag team or singles wrestling?
I mean, I don't want to say I prefer one over the other, because I definitely think, because I've fallen in love with both so much. But tag team wrestling wasn't something I definitely wanted to get into or saw myself getting into when I first started wrestling, but it was definitely something that I just completely fell in love with. Obviously, getting a chance to do a lot of tag team stuff with the Beach Bums, and then going to do single stuff, and then getting a tag with Love Doug. And I've had so many one-off tag team partners. I've teamed up with Tyree Taylor at points. Obviously me and Brad Hollister did the team at Wrestling Open, and now me and Doug are going to start teaming at Wrestling Open. I don't have like I said, I don't have a preference, but there is definitely something about tag team wrestling that is just a little bit more special and a little bit more fun.
So when you started like 8 years ago, did you ever like have any goals, or did you ever imagine the success that you've done? Like, obviously you're still going, but you've done a lot of cool things in wrestling that I think people like strive to do. So did you ever imagine the success, and like what else left has there that you want to do?
Oh man, well, first, I mean, there's so much. Obviously, there's so much left.
Right.
I haven't even scratched the surface of what I want to do. But man, no. I never would have imagined that would have done anything that I'm doing. I was just a kid from Chicago who just wanted to be a wrestler, and that was kind of it. That was my success in my head, my life. It was just become a professional wrestler, and I'll be successful in my life. So no, like I said, it's so crazy to me, man. Like, to think about some of the stuff, like to get a chance to do a 10-day tour of the United Kingdom, to get a chance to do ladder matches and cage matches, and get the opportunities to tell some incredible stories, to be the person that they're putting at the top of the card, to trust that, hey, if we put your name here, that we're gonna get more people in the building than we normally do. And I it's crazy to think that a lot of times, especially at a place like Wrestling Open, that every time that they put me at the top of the card, anytime they put my name on the marquee, it's the biggest houses that Wrestling Open
Wow.
is drawing. And I take that's I'm so proud of that. And it's not just me, like it's the work that obviously everybody at Wrestling Open does. It's the work that all the performers, all the everyone behind the scenes, like I'm not obviously doing it on my own. But it's crazy to think that I'm one of the people trusted to kind of carry that flag. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's just crazy, man. Everything I've ever done in the wrestling business is 100% just the craziest thing ever. Because if you went back and told 10-year-old me while I was just getting into watching wrestling, if you told 10-year-old me watching WrestleMania 23 that he would have accomplished all the stuff that he has and done all the stuff that he has, he probably would have been like, no. No. Well, actually, you know what? He might have said yeah, because he was kind of like a little arrogant.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy. It's still crazy. There's so many things that that aren't even coming in my head that I'm sure if somebody brought it up to me, I'd be like, oh my God, yeah. I did do that.
So speaking of being proud, like what are like whether it's a gimmick or a match, like what are some of the things in TJ Crawford's career so far like you're most proud of doing?
Oh man, getting the chance to win the trios medallions with the Beach Bums was something I was incredibly proud of. That was May 20th, 2017, and so that was almost a year from when I debuted, and getting a chance to just kind of be a student still, but be able to hold the medallions in your hand was such like a cool moment for us. And I think what made that moment even cooler and what makes me so like proud of that moment was getting to the back and getting to the locker room, and right when I walked through the curtain, I'll probably never get this image out of my head and never get the like sound of it out of my head. But walking through the curtain and seeing Anthony Bowens standing right behind the curtain and being like, "You didn't tell me. I didn't know you guys were winning," and he gives me like a big hug. Like someone like that being like so helpful in my career, and having him kind of like be the first person right when I walked through the curtain to give me congratulations, to give me a big hug. It was so cool. I'm so proud of the chance that I'm proud of the fact that me and Doug got to be Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And I'm so proud of the match that we had to win those titles. The ladder match we had. When I got in the wrestling business, when I was kind of first coming up to the New England area, I would travel with Bear Country, the Iron Savages, to every indie show they were doing, and they were the Chaotic Tag Team Champions for a good amount of time, and they were doing a lot of work at Chaotic, and I was sitting there in the corner just kind of watching them every single time they were wrestling. Whether people knew I was with them or not, like I was pretty much at every single show with them. And I always just wanted to be the Chaotic Wrestling Tag Team Champion. I was like, man, I get to travel with these guys all the time and watch them be champions here. It'd be so cool if I got a chance to win the tag team titles once. And then I got a chance to do it with Love Doug. And I'm so proud of the work we did, the reign we had, the matches we were having, the stories we were able to tell. Yeah. I guess let's see. I'll give one more. So I give three. I give three from each from three give good points in my career. So we got the early on, we got the tag title reign. I'm there. I'll kind of loop this one in as two. I'm incredibly proud of not only the steel cage warfare match, but I'm also incredibly proud of the Jumbo Grand Prix finals between myself and Ryan Clancy. While I hate Ryan more than anybody in the entire world, there is no denying that when you put me and him in a ring together, there is magic that happens, and the people clearly want to see it happen. Wrestling Opens, The Last Stand, Steel Cage Warfare, Big Business versus Fancy Ryan Clancy, Miracle Generation, Big Boofa in the main event. 468 people in the building. The most amount of people that the White Eagle has ever had for a show.
Wow.
And to think about some of the people who have competed in that building and some of the people who have been on shows and been at the top of the card and on shows, and to think that the 8 of us, we were the ones who were able to bring that many people in. So I'm incredibly proud of that. And like I said, the Jumbo Grand Prix finals with myself and Ryan Clancy, that was an almost 2-month long tournament. Like I want to say, like it's almost 2-month long tournament that we were just going through. And it kind of hit a dead point in the middle of the tournament where kind of fans were just kind of like losing interest in it, and they were just kind of were like, okay, like we just kind of want to get to the finals of this thing. And then the finals ended up being me and Ryan, and I got everybody, I think, ready to go again. They were like, okay, well, if this is the finals, then now we're about to see some shit go down. I don't know the exact number, but it was one of the biggest houses on a Thursday for Wrestling Open. I don't have the exact number, but I can confidently say that the top 5 biggest houses in Wrestling Open history, either myself or Brad Hollister has been a part of it. So
wow. So to go with that, like you're only 8 years in, so you have so much more to go. What is there that TJ Crawford wants to accomplish? And like, I know it's hard to say first time evers nowadays, but who haven't you shared the ring with yet that you would like to?
Oh man, there's so many guys that I want to share the ring with. I mean, like I can think of everybody that's on TV right now who I've never got a chance to wrestle MJF. I would love an opportunity to wrestle MJF someday. We got one of my very first match, I guess, was a student battle royal that Max was in. It was probably, I think, about a year and a half, I guess, into him wrestling. So I've never got a chance to share the ring with him. I would love that. Some guys in the indies, like someone like a Junior Benito, never got a chance to wrestle him. I would love a chance to wrestle him. But I got just goals and just like what I'm looking to accomplish in the next couple years. I obviously want that you want to be on TV, you want to have the TV contract and all that stuff. But man, I just want to continue doing what I'm doing, and I want to continue building my legacy in the wrestling industry. I've reached the point where I think I want people to remember TJ Crawford for just like what I was as a wrestler, what I am as a wrestler. Like when people look at me as like, man, that guy was fucking good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can swear.
No, you're good.
I just did.
So to go with that, like you kind of answered it, but I like to end every interview the same. Like legacy is such a huge part. So the day that TJ Crawford finally decides it's time to hang up the boots, whenever it will be, what do you want TJ Crawford to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be?
I guess like I want people to just remember me, man, for just being a good wrestler. Like, that sounds so stupid. It sounds so like cliche, but like, it's just, I think the biggest thing in this industry is respect. And I think at the end of the day, once I'm done, I just want to be respected. And I think I just want everybody to look back at my body of work and look back at it with like, you know what? That was a good career.
Yeah.
Like that was a good run. Yeah. I don't want this to happen, but if it does, I want it to be like, man, we didn't appreciate him as when he was wrestling. Yeah, like we should have.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be my legacy, but if that's what it ends up being, I want people to look back at what I did and be happy or be excited to watch my work.
Well, TJ, I want to say thank you. I mean, it's still crazy to me. Like, I was sitting there on my way back from the show yesterday with my dad. I'm like, bro, like, this is the guy I watched for like years straight. And the fact that this weekend I got to call 2 matches of yours, it's crazy. So, man, thank you for everything.
No, man. Thank you for having me on today. Thank you for being an awesome commentator. Thank you for being an awesome
Appreciate it.
person at the shows. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the journey that you're going to have. And I think you're going to have an absolutely incredible career in the wrestling business. So it's only up from here.
Thank you for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching episode 7. I couldn't pick a better guest. Thank you once again for coming on, TJ. I appreciate it. Peace.